Who was there, our contributor Pete McGuire from XM.com. He's live, though, to the minute in our Sydney CBD studio. So swapping that overcoat, Peter, for something of lighter material for obvious reasons. But are you on your way back as of January the 21st? Are you tempted to reprise your observer status? Because it looks as if they're gathering again in Vienna.
Well, good afternoon, Carson. It wouldn't surprise me. You know, it's been a very interesting couple of days, and leading out for the viewers' sake, there wasn't a lot of traction or news regarding the US and shooting. I fired a couple of shots over the bows of a couple of Islamic Revolutionary Guards, the Iranian ships in the Strait of Hormuz. That happened Sunday, and it had no impact to drive the price higher. Actually, the price collapsed 3.8% overnight, Carson. So that just shows you the temperament and what we're looking at the moment. Possibly we're at these, higher levels, and we could see a little bit of a breakout to the downside.
So to the extent that Iraq has been reporting record highs coming out of its port at Basra.
Yep.
Kuwait, though, does still hold a lot of cards itself. They've been talking up this need to get back to Vienna to monitor compliance as of January the 21st. Is that a realistic return date? I mean, how much can be achieved between now and then?
Well, I would think that the most important aspect of it, as you mentioned regarding Iraq, they're saying we've got the United Arab Emirates, the Kuwait, Saudis, they're all playing ball and they're administering these cuts. And Iraq are saying, well, is everyone else playing ball? We understand where Libya is and Nigeria. They have a green light to actually increase production. But what's happening with Iran, their old sparring partner? Where are the other producers on the whole global map? What's Russia doing as far as a non-OPEC producer? They've put their, signed their piece of paper. So I think it's just a little bit of uncertainty, and it'll be interesting to see what actually transpires later this month in Vienna.
Transpiring right now, switching into iron ore, and this is a Dalian March contract rising some 7%, so quoting it in yuan, 620 yuan a tonne. Is this kind of a sort of a contango equivalent price story? I mean, how do you read these numbers?
Well, I think a couple of things, but first off, remembering we're only a little bit over 2.5 weeks out from the Golden Week, and it wouldn't surprise me to see these prices actually increase, and that's been evident. Probably a little bit more of a ramp up, and then I think that the market will probably stabilise traditionally over that period when that's Golden Week or Golden Week and a half. The markets, there's no action, and I think it'll probably be sold off come, the mid-February sort of timeline. But at the moment, yes, certainly pushing higher, and it's not unusual this time of year to see that sort of movement.
Peter, it's John Milroy from Ord Minnett here.
Hello, John.
G'day, Pete. Just a quick one, of course, also overlay is cyclone season that may disrupt some of those supplies and some of those shipments as well over the course of the next several weeks. Do you think that might be playing out too?
Well, it could well do. Look, they'll have to get, naturally, weather outages, and that affects, so many as far as shipping and rolling that across. But we're only pushing forward till around about the 27th, 28th. Then that, the overall slowdown, if not stop, of China for that week and a half period. So let's just see what the weather outages, the cyclones, all of those things. It reminds us a little bit like the hurricane season of what happens on the east coast of America, that August to November sort of timeline. So we have our own weather outages here, and if it's green sailing and green light, then it should be okay. But weather is a very temperamental aspect of shipping.
OK, we're looking at gold. The line in question, the bears still have the overall near-term technical advantage. How much of a swing factor is that next move on the US dollar?
Well, I thought that was interesting. As you mentioned earlier, up 1% overnight, the best part of nearly $11. We're up close on about $50, $60 since about the 22nd, 21st of December. So it's been a very solid move up. Traders are away from their desks, but there's still been plenty of upside. US dollar is temperamental. Where it's at the moment, there could be further softening. Let's just see what happens we've got a Trump inauguration. There are a number of big factors out there that are going to, I think, impact the US dollar over the next month. So it's a little bit of uncertainty, and you could see it just, have a little bit of a breather, Carson.
Okay, and one wonders whether Trump likes dark or milk chocolate. I mean, it's irrelevant really in many measures, but I mean, I'm just wondering about what are the future for cocoa futures. Again, go back to the world's largest producer, Ivory Coast. They're blocking roads. It sounds awfully...
They had a mutiny, mutiny over there, you know, and that really demonstrates to the viewer, you know, the sensitivity with these particular markets. You've got to get trucks out of, you know, jungles. You've got to move and access, get it to ships, transport the goods, and there you go. You've got a mutiny, and that greatly impacts as far as price. That price of that commodity, which is a global, you know, strong demand, is down the best part of 25% year on over the last, you know, 9 to 10 months. So that greatly impacts farmers, producers, and you know, their bottom line.
Your thoughts on perhaps the standout soft commod story for 2017? What would you be putting a warrant? What would you be taking a warrant out on?
Well, I still believe that the likes of a soybean, the likes of wheat, I think there's probably upside there. And let's just see what the market does. Again, weather outages, crop production, soil moisture, all of those sort of ingredients for a good crop. And I just keep an eye on those two. I can't see a return of those high corn prices for ethanol and so on with crude prices at these levels. That's principally where I'd be keeping an eye on, Carson.
And all eyes on Brazil to that end.
Absolutely. Yes, well, Brazil's got its own problems, but from a production side, yeah, they're still, you know, globally the #1 as far as soy. On the brink of its largest harvest in history, so just hoping, to your point, John Milroy, that Mother Nature is kind, never mind hurricanes in key oil-producing regions. You want the soybean crop to come to fruition and not get a pestilence or whatever else, what other plague might befall it. We talk about mutinies and plagues. What else can we talk about, Pete, that we haven't covered off? What is on your radar? Well, I'm keeping very much a close eye as far as productions coming out of Russia. What's happening there with these OPEC and non-OPEC producers? They've had unseasonably cold weather in that Siberian basin, as far as, you know, -60 degrees Celsius. In the old terms, about -76 Fahrenheit, so it's pretty cold. And they're still producing nearly at record numbers. So if there is a continuance as far as colder weather leading into that January, February in that region, then that could greatly contain the Russia's situation and could actually drop their numbers, so even further than expected. So I think that they're the outliers. I'm keeping a very close eye. That crude story is, you know, it's a minute-by-minute proposition, and I'm really, you know, pedal to the metal as far as, you know, the 22nd, 23rd, 24th in Vienna, leading up to that deadline.
Maybe you could do a round-the-world trip. Stop off as well in India, because today REA makes a play, turns bullish on property prices there, and wants to get a toehold alongside for the, you know, slice of the action. You're saying, you know, get a hurry on. I mean, this is going to be another story for 2017. We ignore at our peril.
Well, exactly, but I'll tell you what, you know, you go to India and it's such a dynamic country, and you've only got to fly in and see the amount of new vehicles on the road, and I'm talking, you know, European marques, British motor vehicles, the Audis, the Porsches, the BMWs, Mercedes, US cars. The appetite is changing so quickly, and you can just sense it. We understand as far as property prices from Delhi to Calcutta, overall demand, and they're coming up the curve so quickly. So, you know, you've literally got hundreds and hundreds of millions of people, certainly in poverty, but a large slice of the population also coming up the curve as far as technology and very, very wealthy people, Carson.
Hashtag rather slumdog billionaire.
Yeah.
Never mind millionaire. That's awfully 1990s, isn't it? Or 2000s, whatever you used to say. Thank you, Pete. Have a good week.